The yoga that we teach here is so powerful and transforms people's lives every single day. So where does it come from? And does it even matter? Hey, I'm Sarah from Blaze Yoga and Pilates, and I want to give you a little bit of a background on the lineage of this yoga and why that's really important to us. We actually have to go way back. Hundreds or even thousands of years ago, yoga was first written about in the Rig Veda. The practice of yoga in all of its forms was a critical part of the Hindu way of life. It was practiced in households, it was practiced in schools, it was practiced all over the country in hundreds of different ways and disciplines. When the British colonized India, all of that changed. Yoga went underground. It was outlawed, it was made shameful, and people hid the practice of it. In fact, when Paramahansa Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, went to learn yoga, he had to go deep into the Himalayas and find monks that still taught yoga in their ashrams and learn from them. And that's actually where our story starts. Yogananda went back and studied with monks who taught a type of yoga called Yogoda. In fact, they called it Yogoda training. And Yogananda brought that back to his ashram and had all the boys at his school practice it every single morning. It was their way of improving their physical fitness so that they would be ready for intellectual study and spiritual development. It was a way of focusing, concentrating. It was just simply a way of waking up the body and the mind at the beginning of the day. And he brought his brother Vishnu Charan Ghosh to that school. Now Ghosh was the youngest of Yogananda's family, and he was always a sickly kid. I believe by the age of 12 he weighed like 67 pounds. So he started practicing with his older brother at school and suddenly started to put on muscle weight. He started to grow and got really into physical culture and physical fitness. When he graduated and moved back to Calcutta, he opened Ghosh's College of Physical Fitness, where he taught bodybuilding, some gymnastics, and yoga to people. And within his school, he taught all different types of yogis how to both practice, and then a few people he selected to train as teachers, including some family members and the infamous US yogi, Bikram Choudhury. Bikram was one of his pupils, and in his 20s, Ghosh charged him with his life karma, his life's work, and said, the Western cultures need this yoga. They have the best country, they have the best roads, they have the best schools, they have the best access to food, and they have the worst lives and they're the most miserable people. Western civilization needs this yoga. Take it and spread it around the world as much as you possibly can. He took the yoga first to Japan, and this is where the origination of hot yoga actually came from. The students practiced with Bikram, they learned lots of great things, and he taught in the traditional way, where you go to your yogi, you tell them about your life, your health, your medical conditions, your injuries, and then they craft a plan for you, a prescription of yoga postures and breathing exercises, meditation activities for you to engage in. And what he found when he was teaching in Japan was that even if he worked all day, he could see like a dozen or more clients a day, and that was it. Ghosh's words were strong in his mind. He knew he had to do his karma in the world. There had to be a better way for him to work. What he started realizing as he saw more and more clients was most people needed a lot of different things. Most people suffered with some kind of mood disorder. Most people needed practice with their breathing. A lot of people had knee issues or back pain. And so he began to discover that many of the same postures every single person needed. And if he just rounded that out with a few extra postures to hit places that he hadn't thought of in the original series, that you could get a pretty well-rounded group class. Anybody could access it, and it would be healing to anybody sort of regardless of your condition. And that's when he started teaching the 26 posture series that is known as Bikram Yoga. He brought that to the United States in the 1970s, where it became popularized by tons of famous people like Quincy Jones and Shirley MacLaine. He practiced with Raquel Welch, Jason and Justine Bateman and their parents, all practiced with him in Los Angeles. It quickly became super popular. He was the guru to the stars. And in the United States, slowly started to grow in popularity. And by the mid-1990s, he began training teachers so that his yoga could reach even more people. Now, how did the yoga become hot? In Japan, it became wintertime, and people started to be complaining that their spot was drafty or they were achy during class, and one woman brought in a space heater, and then another guy was jealous, and then this lady over here had hers, and next thing you knew, the class was warm again, in temperatures that were very similar to the way that Bikram and Ghosh had grown up in Calcutta. where it's regularly 85 degrees and 60 to 80% humidity year round. So you don't really suffer from people getting cold-related injuries like we do up here in the Northeast. So from some kind of cranky students in Japan came this craze that has swept the country by now, and you can get hot exercise in sort of any type of modality. When we first started practicing it here, everybody in this country thought we were crazy. By the new millennium, Bikram's popularity had spread across the U.S. and hundreds of teachers were being trained every year. Till in 2012, there were over 1,000 teachers being trained each and every year. And every single one of those teachers became certified to teach this yoga and carry on Ghosha's legacy of bringing this yoga to the world. Now, in the early 20-teens, several women filed lawsuits against Bikram for sexual assault during teacher training. It was at that time that we had to make a very important decision to cut ties with Bikram and Bikram headquarters, because that type of behavior is completely against the ethics and everything that Jalen and I believe in. We stand with the victims. My experience at teacher training was hard, it was long, I worked hard, I learned a lot, but while I was having that experience that allowed me the opportunity to become a teacher and start to change my life and the lives of those around me, some women were having the experience that derailed the rest of their entire lives. And because of that, we have nothing to do with Bikram. And to make sure it's very, very clear, there's a myth out there that is a Bikram yoga franchise and that studios that teach his hot yoga pay him a fee to use his name or to use the series. None of that is true. It is based on the blustering of a narcissistic man on a 60 Minutes and a GQ interview, but it isn't actually based in fact or reality. And that comes to this important place of what's our lineage and where do we go from here? We have so much respect for this series that transformed all of our lives here and helped us to heal from a myriad of mental, physical, and emotional injuries. And we carry that torch from Ghosh that the Western world and the whole world needs access to this yoga so that you can feel your best and be the most positive impact you can in the world. And that's what we hold on to. We recognize the pain and suffering that the people of India went through to hold on to this cultural tradition. We recognize the value and importance of yoga for the Hindu religion and how important that is. We also recognize the value of this powerful practice to help us in modern life. When people are suffering, it's really hard for them to be effective at their jobs, to affect change, and to just be nice in general. So we believe in Ghosha's dream, that people would have access to yoga that would change their lives and help them to be their best selves so that we can all live together in this world and appreciate and enjoy our lives.